What happens when sound becomes the key to unlocking the dormant chambers of human consciousness? Can specific frequencies literally rewire the neural pathways that govern our extrasensory perceptions? Welcome, soul traveler, to the Eternal Library. Today we dive into one of the most profound and enigmatic secrets that has been hidden within the sacred sound traditions of every ancient civilization for over 5 millennia, a frequency so powerful that it was considered too dangerous for the uninitiated, too sacred for the profane, and too transformative for those who would misuse its incredible potential to open the psychic centers of human awareness. The ancient Vedic texts speak of Nada Yoga, the yoga of sound, where the Sanskrit word nada literally translates as the flow of consciousness itself. And within these texts written over 3,000 years ago, we find detailed descriptions of how specific vibrational frequencies can activate what the yogis call the anahata nada, the unstruck sound that reverberates through the subtle energy channels or nadis of the human body, awakening dormant psychic faculties that modern science is only beginning to understand through the field of cymatics and neuroplasticity research. In the Hermetic traditions of ancient Egypt, the priest-scientists of the mystery schools understood that sound was the primordial creative force, as recorded in the Emerald Tablet of Hermes Trismegistus, where it states that all manifestation begins with vibration, and these adepts developed sophisticated techniques using specific tonal combinations to activate what they called the sekam, the divine power that flows through the human energy system, enabling practitioners to perceive beyond the veil of ordinary reality into the realms of pure consciousness where past, present, and future converge in a single eternal moment of knowing. The Tibetan monks of the Bon tradition, which predates Buddhism by over 1,000 years, have preserved the most complete understanding of sound's capacity to open psychic abilities through their practice of dzogchen, where specific mantras and bowls tuned to exact frequencies are used to activate the rigpa, or pure awareness, allowing practitioners to achieve what they call the rainbow body, a state of consciousness where the boundaries between self and cosmos dissolve and direct knowing becomes possible without the mediation of the ordinary senses. Modern research conducted by Dr. Susan Greenfield at Oxford University and Dr. Anirudh Patel at the Neuroscience Institute has revealed that exposure to specific frequencies between 40 and 100 Hz can dramatically increase gamma wave activity in the brain, particularly in regions associated with heightened awareness and what neuroscientists call binding consciousness, the mysterious process by which separate neural networks synchronize to create unified perceptual experiences that transcend normal sensory limitations. The ancient Chinese understood this principle through their development of the 5-element sound healing system, where each organ system resonates with specific frequencies that not only heal physical ailments but also activate corresponding psychic faculties, as documented in the Yellow Emperor's classic of internal medicine written over 2,000 years ago, which describes how the heart sound HA at 528 Hz opens the Shun or spiritual consciousness, the kidney sound Chui at 396 Hz activates the Ji or willpower that enables psychic protection, the liver sound Shu at 417 Hz awakens the Hun or ethereal soul that permits astral projection, the lung sound TSS at 741 Hz stimulates the Po or corporeal soul that governs clairvoyance, and the spleen sound Hu at 285 Hz energizes the E or focused intention that makes telepathy possible. In the shamanic traditions of the Americas, from the Lakota vision quest ceremonies to the Amazonian ayahuasqueros who work with plant teacher spirits, sound has always been recognized as the bridge between worlds, with specific drumming patterns, rattles, and vocal techniques designed to shift brainwave states from normal beta consciousness at 14 to 30 Hz down to theta frequencies at 4 to 8 Hz, where the shamanic state of consciousness naturally emerges, allowing practitioners to perceive the interconnected web of energy that connects all living beings and to communicate directly with the spirits of nature, ancestors, and guiding forces that exist beyond the veil of ordinary perception. Dr. Michael Persinger's groundbreaking research at Laurentian University demonstrated that when specific electromagnetic frequencies are applied to the temporal lobes of the brain, over 80% of subjects report profound spiritual experiences, out-of-body states, and enhanced psychic awareness, suggesting that consciousness itself may be fundamentally vibrational in nature, a finding that perfectly aligns with the ancient understanding preserved in the Sanskrit concept of spanda, the divine vibration that underlies all manifestation and can be accessed through precise sound work to unlock latent human potentials. The Sufi masters of medieval Persia developed the practice of dhikr, or remembrance of the divine, using specific breathing techniques combined with sacred sounds and movements that induce mystical states where the boundaries between lover and beloved dissolve, as described by Rumi in his Mathnawi, where he writes that the reed flute song is actually the cry of the soul seeking reunion with its source, And these Sufi adepts understood that certain frequencies, particularly those based on mathematical ratios found in nature such as the golden ratio of 1.618, can synchronize the heart and brain into a coherent state that naturally opens psychic perception and direct spiritual knowing. The Hebrew Kabbalists preserved similar knowledge in their understanding of the divine names and the power of the Hebrew letters themselves as vibrational keys, with each letter corresponding to specific frequencies that activate different aspects of consciousness, as detailed in the Sefer Yetzirah or Book of Creation, which describes how the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet serve as building blocks of reality itself, and when properly intoned with correct intention and breath work, these sacred sounds can open the practitioner to prophetic vision, mystical union, and direct communication with angelic hierarchies that guide human evolution. In the Christian mystical tradition, the Desert Fathers of the 3rd and 4th centuries developed the Jesus Prayer, a repetitive invocation that when practiced with specific breathing patterns creates a resonance in the chest cavity that early practitioners described as opening the heart to divine grace and mystical vision, while medieval Christian mystics like Hildegard of Bingen understood that certain musical intervals, particularly the perfect fifth and octave, could induce ecstatic states where direct revelation became possible, as she documented in her Sivias, where she describes receiving visions through what she called the living light that spoke to her through sound and music. Modern sound healers like Jonathan Goldman and Tom Kenyon have rediscovered these ancient principles through their work with what they call psychoacoustics, the study of how sound affects consciousness, demonstrating that specific frequencies can indeed activate dormant neural pathways and enhance extrasensory perception, with Goldman's research showing that the frequency of 528 Hz, known as the love frequency, can repair DNA while simultaneously opening what he calls the heart chakra gateway to higher perception, while Kenyon's work with the Hathors, interdimensional beings he channels, has produced sound formulas that consistently induce states of expanded awareness and psychic opening in workshop participants worldwide. The most closely guarded secret of all these traditions, however, is the understanding that there exists a master frequency, a primordial tone that serves as the fundamental vibration from which all other healing and consciousness-expanding frequencies derive, and this frequency, known in Sanskrit as the pranav or aum, when properly intoned with correct technique, breath control, and sacred intention, can literally restructure the neural networks of the brain to support sustained psychic awareness and multidimensional perception. The ancient rishis who received the Vedic knowledge understood that aum is not merely a sound but the vibrational signature of consciousness itself, with the A representing the waking state and physical plane awareness, the U corresponding to the dream state and astral plane perception, the M symbolizing the deep sleep state and causal plane knowing, and the silence that follows representing Turiya, the fourth state of pure consciousness that transcends all dualities and limitations. And when this sacred sound is practiced with the understanding that each phase corresponds to specific brainwave states and psychic faculties, the practitioner gradually develops the ability to maintain awareness across all levels of reality simultaneously. Dr. Jeffrey Thompson, a pioneer in neuroacoustic research, has documented how exposure to specific frequency combinations can entrain brainwaves to match the neural signatures of advanced meditators and psychics, with his studies showing that subjects exposed to binaural beats combining 40 Hz gamma waves with 8 Hz alpha rhythms consistently demonstrate enhanced remote viewing abilities, increased telepathic accuracy, and spontaneous precognitive experiences, suggesting that psychic abilities are not supernatural gifts but natural human capacities that can be systematically developed through proper sound training. The Russian psychologist Dr. Konstantin Korotkov has used Kirlian photography and gas discharge visualization to document how specific sound frequencies literally expand the human energy field or aura, with certain tones causing measurable increases in the bioelectronic emissions that surround the body, particularly in areas corresponding to the traditional chakra locations. And his research with trained psychics shows that those with the most developed extrasensory abilities consistently display energy field patterns that resonate with what he calls coherent frequency signatures, mathematical ratios that appear throughout nature from the spiral of DNA to the orbital patterns of planets. In the Rosicrucian tradition, as preserved in the works of Rudolf Steiner and Max Heindel, sound is understood as the creative word that shapes reality itself, with specific vowel combinations serving as keys to unlock what Steiner called the Akashic Records, the ethereal library that contains the vibrational imprint of every thought, emotion, and event that has ever occurred. And advanced practitioners of anthroposophy use precise tonal work to develop what they term spiritual sight, the ability to perceive the subtle energy bodies that interpenetrate physical matter and to read the karmic patterns that influence human destiny across multiple lifetimes. The Aboriginal peoples of Australia have perhaps the most sophisticated understanding of sound's consciousness-altering properties through their use of the didgeridoo, an instrument that produces complex harmonic overtones capable of inducing shamanic trance states where practitioners report traveling through the dreamtime, the timeless realm where past, present, and future coexist and where communication with ancestral spirits and totemic guides becomes possible, with modern acoustic analysis, revealing that the didgeridoo produces a fundamental frequency around 58 Hz with overtones that create standing wave patterns in the human skull that directly stimulate the pineal gland, often called the third eye, which produces DMT and other neurotransmitters associated with mystical experience and psychic perception. The Hawaiian kahunas preserved similar knowledge in their understanding of the ha breath, a specific breathing technique combined with sacred chanting that they used to accumulate what they called mana, the life force energy that powers all psychic and healing abilities, with their oral traditions describing how certain combinations of vowel sounds can open the Aumakua channel, the spiritual communication pathway that connects the conscious mind with the higher self and enables direct access to divine guidance and prophetic vision. In the Islamic mystical tradition, the 99 names of Allah are understood not merely as descriptive titles but as actual frequency keys that unlock specific states of consciousness when properly recited with correct pronunciation and breath control, with Sufi masters teaching that each divine name corresponds to particular attributes of consciousness that can be developed through devoted practice, such as Ar-Rahman, the compassionate, which opens the heart to universal love and empathic perception, or Al-Basir, the all-seeing, which awakens clairvoyant sight and the ability to perceive the subtle energy patterns that underlie physical manifestation. Dr. Bruce Lipton's research in epigenetics has demonstrated that sound frequencies can actually alter gene expression, turning on dormant DNA sequences that may be responsible for latent psychic abilities, with his experiments showing that exposure to specific frequency combinations can activate what he calls junk DNA, genetic sequences that appear to have no current function but may represent evolutionary potentials waiting to be triggered by environmental stimuli, including the vibrational environment created by consistent sound practice. The practical application of this ancient wisdom begins with understanding that the human body itself is a sophisticated vibrational instrument, with each organ, gland, and energy center resonating at specific frequencies that can be harmonized and optimized through targeted sound work. And the most effective approach involves working systematically with what the Hindu tradition calls the chakra system, the 7 primary energy centers that regulate the flow of consciousness through the human vehicle and serve as gateways to different dimensions of psychic perception. The root chakra, located at the base of the spine, resonates with the frequency of 256 Hz and corresponds to the musical note C, and when this center is properly tuned through sustained toning or exposure to this frequency, it establishes the energetic foundation necessary for safe psychic development by grounding higher vibrational energies into physical reality and preventing the scattered awareness that can result from ungrounded spiritual practice. The sacral chakra, positioned just below the navel, vibrates at 288 Hz or the note D, and activating the center through sound work awakens the creative and intuitive faculties that enable artistic inspiration, emotional telepathy, and the ability to sense the underlying emotional currents that influence human behavior, with many psychics reporting that their first awakening experiences involved spontaneous activation of this center through exposure to specific musical frequencies during meditation or sound healing sessions. The solar plexus chakra resonates at 320 Hz or the note E, and when properly activated through sustained toning of the seed mantra Ram, this center becomes the command post for all psychic abilities, as it governs the will and focused intention that are essential for directing psychic energy and maintaining clarity during altered states of consciousness, with advanced practitioners learning to generate a coherent electromagnetic field from this center that can influence physical matter and other conscious beings at a distance. The heart chakra, perhaps the most important center for psychic development, vibrates at the powerful frequency of 341.3 Hz or the note F, and this center serves as the bridge between the lower material dimensions and the higher spiritual realms, with the ancient Egyptian understanding that the heart is the seat of intelligence and the Tibetan recognition that the heart contains what they call the indestructible drop, the essence of consciousness that survives physical death and carries psychic abilities from lifetime to lifetime. When the heart chakra is properly opened through sound work, particularly using the seed mantra YM or exposure to the 528 Hz love frequency, practitioners consistently report dramatic increases in empathic abilities, heart-to-heart telepathy, and the capacity to perceive the energy signatures of other beings with remarkable accuracy. The throat chakra resonates at 384 Hz or the note G, and activating this center through toning the seed mantra Ham or exposure to the 741 Hz frequency awakens what the yogic tradition calls Vishuddha, the purification center that enables clear psychic communication, channeling of higher dimensional beings, and the ability to speak prophetic truth that cuts through illusion and deception to reveal the underlying spiritual realities that govern human experience. The third eye chakra, located between the eyebrows and corresponding to the pineal gland, vibrates at 426.7 Hz or the note A, and this center is perhaps the most crucial for psychic development as it governs clairvoyance, remote viewing, precognition, and the ability to perceive subtle energy patterns that are invisible to normal sight. With sustained exposure to this frequency or practice of the seed mantra Om literally causing the pineal gland to increase its production of DMT and other consciousness-expanding neurochemicals while simultaneously developing new neural pathways that support extrasensory perception. The crown chakra at the top of the head resonates at 480 Hz or the note B, and when fully activated through sound work, this center opens what the Hindu tradition calls the Brahmarandra, the aperture in consciousness through which divine knowledge and cosmic awareness flow into human experience, enabling the practitioner to access what the Akashic records, communicate with ascended masters and spiritual guides, and experience the unity consciousness that reveals the interconnected nature of all existence. Beyond working with individual chakras, the most advanced sound healing practices involve creating harmonic resonances between multiple energy centers simultaneously, using specific frequency combinations that the ancient mystery schools called the music of the spheres, mathematical ratios based on planetary orbital periods that create standing wave patterns throughout the entire energy system and induce states of consciousness that transcend ordinary human limitations. The planet Mercury, governing communication and mental agility, vibrates at 141.27 Hz, and when this frequency is combined with throat chakra activation can dramatically enhance telepathic abilities and psychic communication skills. Venus, the planet of love and beauty, resonates at 221.23 Hz, and combining this frequency with heart chakra work opens the practitioner to cosmic love consciousness and the ability to perceive the divine beauty that underlies all manifestation. Earth's own frequency, known as the Schumann resonance, pulses at 7.83 Hz, and entraining the brain to this rhythm through binaural beat technology creates a state of coherence with the planet's electromagnetic field that many psychics consider essential for grounding higher perceptions and maintaining energetic stability during psychic work. Mars vibrates at 144.72 Hz, and working with this frequency can awaken the spiritual warrior energy needed to protect oneself during psychic exploration and to maintain clarity when encountering challenging energies or entities. Jupiter's frequency of 183.58 Hz opens consciousness to higher wisdom and spiritual teaching, while Saturn at 147.85 Hz provides the discipline and structure necessary for systematic psychic development. The ancient Pythagorean mystery schools understood these cosmic frequencies as literal keys to unlocking human potential, with Pythagoras himself teaching that the study of music and mathematics was actually a preparation for direct mystical experience and psychic awakening. The most powerful technique for practical application involves what the Tibetan tradition calls phawa, the practice of consciousness projection, which begins by establishing a coherent vibrational field through specific breathing patterns combined with sustained toning of the sacred syllable fat, creating a standing wave between the heart and crown chakras that serves as a bridge for consciousness to travel beyond the physical body while maintaining full awareness and control. To practice this safely, begin by sitting in meditation posture and establishing rhythmic breathing at the rate of 4 seconds inhalation, 4 seconds retention, 4 seconds exhalation, which naturally synchronizes the brain to 8 Hz alpha rhythms that are optimal for psychic work. Then begin toning the sound AUM on each exhalation, feeling the vibration beginning in the heart and traveling upward through the throat to the crown of the head, visualizing each repetition creating a column of golden light that extends from the earth through the body and into the cosmos above. After establishing this basic resonance for at least 10 minutes, transition to working with the seed mantras for each chakra in sequence, starting with LAM for the root chakra and moving systematically upward through VM for the sacral, RAM for the solar plexus, YM for the heart, HAM for the throat, OM for the third eye, and silence for the crown, spending at least 30 repetitions with each sound and feeling the corresponding energy center awakening and beginning to spin with increased vitality and luminosity. The most advanced practitioners then combine these individual chakra sounds into a continuous flowing chant that moves through all 7 centers in a single breath, creating what the Sanskrit texts call the Sushumna current, the central channel of energy that when fully activated allows consciousness to travel freely through all dimensions of existence while maintaining perfect awareness and recall of the journey. Warning must be given that this practice can produce profound alterations in consciousness and should never be undertaken without proper preparation, as the sudden activation of dormant psychic abilities can be overwhelming for those who lack adequate grounding and energetic protection, with some practitioners reporting spontaneous out-of-body experiences, encounters with non-physical beings, and radical shifts in perception that can be difficult to integrate without proper guidance. The traditional approach always begins with months or even years of preliminary practice designed to strengthen the nervous system and establish energetic boundaries, including daily meditation, ethical purification, dietary modifications that reduce energetic density, and the cultivation of what the Tibetan tradition calls bodhicitta, the compassionate motivation that ensures psychic abilities are used only in service of the highest good for all beings rather than for personal gain or ego gratification. For those ready to undertake serious sound-based psychic development, the most effective approach combines daily toning practice with exposure to specific frequency generators or tuning bowls, beginning with 20 minutes each morning and evening of sustained work with the 528 Hz love frequency to establish heart coherence and energetic protection, followed by systematic work with each chakra frequency using either vocal toning or crystal singing bowls tuned to the appropriate pitches, with gradual progression to more advanced practices only after demonstrating stability and integration at each level of development. Modern technology has provided tools that can accelerate this process, including binaural beat generators that can entrain brainwaves to specific states optimal for psychic development, with research showing that combinations of 40 Hz gamma waves to enhance perception, 8 Hz alpha rhythms to maintain relaxed awareness, and 4 Hz theta frequencies to access unconscious information can create optimal conditions for extrasensory perception when combined with traditional sound practices. The electromagnetic field generators developed by researchers like Dr. Michael Persinger can also be used to stimulate the temporal lobes and encourage mystical experiences, though such technological approaches should always be combined with traditional spiritual practices to ensure proper integration and avoid the spiritual bypassing that can occur when consciousness expansion happens without corresponding ethical and emotional development. Perhaps most importantly, those undertaking this path must understand that psychic abilities are not the goal but rather natural side effects of consciousness evolution, with the true purpose being the development of wisdom, compassion, and service to humanity's spiritual awakening, as taught by every authentic mystery school throughout history, and maintaining this larger perspective protects against the ego inflation and spiritual materialism that can derail sincere seekers who become fascinated with phenomena rather than focused on transformation. The ancient Chinese sage Lao Tzu warned that those who speak of the Tao do not know it, and those who know it do not speak of it, pointing to the paradox that genuine spiritual accomplishment tends toward humility and service rather than display and self-promotion. And this wisdom applies equally to psychic development, where the most accomplished practitioners often appear completely ordinary while those who make grand claims frequently demonstrate little actual ability or wisdom. The path of sound-based psychic awakening ultimately leads to the recognition that consciousness itself is vibration, that the entire universe is a vast symphony of intersecting frequencies, and that by learning to harmonize our personal vibration with the cosmic music, we naturally develop the ability to perceive and participate in the grand composition of existence with ever greater skill and joy, remembering always that these abilities come not from the small self but from the universal self, that speaks through us when we become sufficiently transparent and aligned with the divine will that seeks only the liberation and enlightenment of all conscious beings. If this journey into the hidden frequency that opens psychic abilities resonated with your soul, share this ancient wisdom with fellow seekers and join our community of consciousness explorers. Let us know in the comments what aspect of this sound healing knowledge calls to your spirit, for the path of psychic awakening is walked together in harmony with others who hear the same cosmic music calling them home to their true nature as unlimited beings of light and love. Thank you, soul traveler, for joining this exploration of the vibrational mysteries that unlock human potential.